Emi Martinez wants to join Manchester United as the new goalkeeper, and Aston Villa is willing to sell him for £40 million. Here's why Manchester United should just stay away from this deal. Before we start talking about why Emi Martinez as a replacement would be a bad idea, let's talk about Andre Onana and why he doesn't fit the system and actually needs to go. So we got Andre Onana just 2 years ago for £47.2 million from Inter Milan. This was the fourth most expensive goalkeeper transfers ever. And now we are thinking of getting Emi Martinez, a 32-year-old goalkeeper, to replace Andre Onana to become the fifth most expensive transfer. So Andre Onana needs to go. There's no question about that. I'm not trying to argue that Andre Onana should possibly stay, because I didn't think he was a good keeper even in the first month of his stay at Manchester United. You could clearly see that even though he had a good season with Inter Milan where he helped them take them to the Champions League final, once he came to Manchester United, it has been mistakes after mistakes. If you remember, even during the pre-season before his first season at Manchester United, there was an interaction with Harry Maguire where he calls out Harry Maguire for not defending a particular way or not defending well. And at that time, I was a little surprised that somebody who was new to the team would call out a fellow player, especially when that player had just been recently removed from the captaincy position. And so, but at that time I gave him the benefit of the doubt because, hey, maybe he's a keeper who likes to command the area and likes to give direction. So, okay, that's okay. Let's see what he can do when he's facing real bullets in the Premier League. And then in another preseason game, this was the game before the start of the season, he gets lobbed from halfway line against Lyon, I believe. And that was another embarrassing situation. But again, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because we had just replaced David De Gea with Andre Onana because we wanted to play out from the back. We wanted our back line to keep most of the ball, keep possession and help. So there's a possibility that, yes, the keeper might come up and he can be caught out from time to time. So I didn't think too much of that. I still gave him the benefit of the doubt because I thought, hey, we paid so much for him. He did well. He's from the Ten Hag system or the Ajax system, so he would be a good fit. And then the season started. And that's where all the mistakes started. We had a horrendous Champions League campaign the season before the last season, where we conceded a lot of goals in spite of performing so well, where as a surprise Rasmus Højlund was scoring a lot of goals. We couldn't stop conceding goals, and we ultimately ended up bottom of the Champions League group and were kicked out of the tournament after the group stages. And still he was given the benefit of the doubt despite making so many mistakes. Even in the FA Cup final, he let in a goal and made it for a dicey last 10-15 minutes. But still people said, okay, let's give him one more try. And then we had this last year. And this last year actually took the cake because there were so many mistakes. He was giving away goals from corners. If you remember, Heung-min Song in the Carabao Cup scored a goal from the corner. Then Matthias Cunha also scored a goal from the corner in the Premier League. Then his goalkeeping tendencies are some of the worst which I've seen for any professional goalkeeper. Anytime he tries to stop the ball from going into the net, he parries it right back into the middle, which always or nearly always leads to a tap in for any forward player who's hoping for a rebound. And then especially on headers, on corners or set pieces, he would always be in a bad position, or if if he's watching a ball go into the goal, he always dives into the goal instead of at the line, and as a result he is always late for headers as well. If you remember, I mean, it was the Lyon game, which is a clear example where they the ball was bouncing off the Lyon players, and they finally headed it in. And Onana, instead of diving at the goal line, goes and dives beyond the goal line and is unable to stop the ball. Then he's also shown his incompetence in set pieces. There's so many times where he cannot even judge the flight of the ball in the air. There were so many free kicks where he ends up being rooted, and he kind of just watches the ball go past him, and he's unable to even move. Like in the Lyon game, there was a free kick where the ball is looped over the defensive line, and it bounces in front of him and then bounces into the goal. And instead of staying on his feet, he dives down to block the bounce. I don't know what he was planning to do. And obviously he's on the floor, the ball bounces and goes into the goal. It was just a catalogue of mistakes against Crystal Palace, against Nottingham Forest, where he couldn't judge the flight of the ball, against Brighton. That was one of his worst games, where an innocuous pass was made into the center from the right side and he couldn't hold on to the ball, and I think it was João Pedro who manages to collect it and then slot it in. So he needs to go. This is not a question about whether he needs to stay or needs to go. But how do you replace him? That's the question. Because you know for a fact that Alte Bayender, who is the backup keeper, wants to leave, because it's 1 year before the World Cup and he wants playing time. So he's definitely going to leave. And plus, even if you keep Andre Onana, he is going to be gone for a month or so in the month of December and January. So he's going to miss 5 or 6 games. So you need a keeper. There is no question about it. You have Bayender leaving and you have Andre Onana missing for a month or so. So you have to get a keeper. And don't mention Tom Heaton, because I don't think he's ready to play keeper. So what are your options? So you need a replacement for your second position. You definitely need a replacement for your starter position. My suggestion is go get a replacement for your second position who is a competent keeper but is an up-and-comer and is willing to learn and sit behind whoever's the number one keeper. This enables you to go get a talented keeper and build him up, because Manchester United is not in a great financial position where they can risk high wages and high transfer fees on players and then bring them in and hope it works out. Because by hoping that these players work out, you're taking in a lot of risk and then you're stuck with people on crazy wages and unable to sell them. So get a decent number 2 keeper. Now, why is Emi Martinez not a good replacement for Andre Onana? So Emi Martinez is a good keeper. There's no denying that. But if you look at his stats in the Premier League, he is in the bottom half of the first half of goalkeepers in the Premier League. He's not elite. He's not elite that he deserves a £40 million payment just to get his services. He just recently signed a long-term contract which goes to 2029. So Aston Villa is no hurry in selling him. Although Aston Villa has PSR issues, they would try to hold on to him. But if they get a good deal, which this is a really good deal, they would sell him. But I just want Manchester United to get a competent keeper. And Andre Onana is not a competent keeper. So just get a competent keeper for 5 to 10 million pounds, and that would be good enough. Look at the number 1 keeper on this list, Kepa. He is going from Chelsea to Arsenal for £5 million. I know he's not the best of keepers, and I know it didn't work out for him. But you could have gotten him as your number 2 keeper. This is all about spending money in the wrong places. Manchester United still doesn't have a right winger, basically a right 10. We're still negotiating that. We haven't even started negotiations on a midfield player. And we don't have an established right wing back as well. So there is no way that Manchester United should be spending £40 million on a keeper who's established but does most of his good work at the international stage on a very talented Argentinian side. But when it comes to the Premier League, he is average. He's not that great. And especially if you look at his performances from the past season, I don't think Aston Villa fans were that pleased with his performance. So in a way that if we do get him, they wouldn't mind. They would be actually happy to see him go to get a decent, and then they would just spend that to get a decent keeper for a far lesser fee. In fact, when we got Andre Onana for £47.2 million, Inter Milan went and spent I think £5 or £10 million to get a keeper whose name I can't remember right now. And he's such a great keeper. There are great keepers available all over this country, all over the UK and all over Europe. We shouldn't be spending £40 million on a keeper, because if you look at the facts of the number of goals conceded by Manchester United, it is not far from some of the elite in the league. The main problem that Manchester United faced is goal scoring, and I have always considered that yes, goal scoring is an elite talent, and so for elite talent you need to pay elite money. But for a goalkeeper to just be a competent replacement for Andre Onana is easy to find. So I just hope that Manchester United give this great thought and just ask your scouting network and find out who's available. Just look at, so I can name any other team, like Tottenham even got Vicario for like £5 or £10 million. There are many options out there. You don't need to overspend on this position. So this was the latest news. So did Aston Villa actually approach Manchester United? But it looks like it's mostly Emi Martinez's camp which wants him to join Manchester United. But luckily Manchester United have not approached him. But we do know for a fact that Ruben Amorim is not pleased with Andre Onana's performance and would like a replacement. But I think he's also realistic that there's a lack of funds. But I've seen previous managers do crazy things. Spending £47 million on a goalkeeper should have never been allowed by the backroom staff. There have been other links to Manchester United, especially at the goalkeeper position. So the Atalanta keeper for £50 million. This is just bordering on stupidity. I don't know where people get these numbers. I think they're just throwing transfer fee amounts on the wall and seeing if anything sticks. And I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United even gives it a lot of thought. There were some rumors that AS Monaco have looked at Andre Onana as a potential keeper, but that rumor was shot down by Fabrizio. We need to advertise Andre Onana to Saudi Arabia, or get a competent second keeper for really cheap who can challenge him. And then maybe some games you can even play the second choice keeper, and it basically indicates to Andre Onana that hey, you don't have you have no guarantee to start in this team, so there's a possibility that you might have to look elsewhere. And I think Andre Onana is one of those players. He's not on a great deal. He's not receiving his entire wages because Manchester United did not get into Europe. So I don't think he is that pleased, because I think he tried to renegotiate his deal sometime within the last 2 seasons. So I think he would also be open to going to another team, especially in Saudi, if the opportunity arose. So I think Manchester United should also advertise his services to Saudi and hopefully get a deal done for him. If you like this video, please leave a comment below, and please like and subscribe, as it helps other people find this content. Thank you so much.